Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rayge, and we are back today to break down the Alpha Flight team, but more specifically, guys, I want to take a look at their stats and how they rank up to the previous teams, in addition to talking about their placement and meta in the game. So, apologies for the clickbait, but we all know, guys, is there really any team that's skippable now in Marvel Strike Force? That remains to be seen, especially given that we know Alpha Flight is required for one of the new raids that are currently placed in game, being Spotlights, right? We don't know how long the Spotlight raids are going to be here for, but both Spire Society and Alpha Flight, with them being required, means that there's going to be some value to be had. But where do they really stack up against some of the meta teams? That's what I'm also more interested in. That's why I love doing this kind of analysis too, to see where they stack up. So again, guys, just to recap the full 5-man team, obviously here we have both Sunspot and Wolverine getting reworked. Sunfire getting reworked. And then in addition, the new characters are Guardian, Northstar, and Sasquatch. So why would you want to invest in this team? Well, they're the meta war defense team, right? And they are also, as I noted earlier, required for Spotlight raids. So if you're interested and obviously looking to build up and add more Crimson gear into your roster and arsenal for Dark Dimension 7 planning, well, you don't really have a choice, especially given that we don't know what the timeline is for these Spotlight raids, how long they last for, how long do they even turn over for. That remains to be seen. I also want to point out, guys, the last recent trends of what's been happening with some of the newer teams that have been released to date. Old Man Logan trials just wrapped up recently, and remember, they required both Out of Time and Cabal if you wanted to push them up higher to unlock Old Man Logan at higher star levels. But keep in mind too, we also found that there was an exploit, or I guess workaround in this case, that you can actually unlock him without the 2 required teams. But again, that was just thanks to creativity in the game, and obviously thanks to players experimenting and trying something different. Whether or not that was intentional remains to be seen, because we'll likely see that confirmation in the next Legendary Trials event. And if that still is an opportunity for players to participate, we may not need to worry about these required teams, right? I also want to point out, guys, the last Escape from Kiln event required both Cabal and Spire Society as the ending notes to really wrap it up. If you were interested in getting that 3 diamond of, I believe it was Gwenom, a 3 diamond Gwenom for the Hive Mind team, if you guys wanted to partake in that. So we don't know what that looks like yet. We also know Sword Satellite is coming back. So does that maybe, signal a opportunity for Alpha Flight to be considered here for a future Sword Satellite team floor? Again, we don't know yet. But yeah, that all are very, very important considerations that we always need to be mindful of, because with this game and releasing new teams, they obviously want to add incentive. How do you maximize this team? How do you get more in terms of these characters? And how do you incentivize people to spend, obviously, for character shards and so forth? Thankfully, the majority of the events have been free to play. So if you're just waiting for the releases to come into the game, you can more than likely get these characters unlocked, especially with Guardians event also starting today. So, guys, uniques, just to break down, something to be mindful of, obviously, because I always like taking a look at, how these characters are going to conflict with other meta tunes in the game. So, obviously, Wolverine having Adamantium is going to conflict with Old Man Logan, also being relevant in the meta right now, being one of the best characters in the game. We got Sunspot requiring Astral Energy. That conflicts directly with Apocalypse, so definitely need to be mindful of there. If you're trying to spend resources, Apocalypse is obviously more important than this team, especially the value that he adds in, right? But not to say that Alpha Flight is not important, but just something to be mindful of when you're actually allocating resources accordingly. We have Guardian actually requiring Gravitonium, so not many important Gravitonium characters. So I do like the fact that this is a nice little value add there. Northstar required Luminium. This conflicts directly actually with, I believe, Mysterio and Black Cat. So this one you might want to watch out for. Again, especially with Guardian and Northstar being basically the core of this team, you need to be mindful of those resources for sure. And then finally, we got Sasquatch in the very, very busy Gamma Radiation. There's just so many Gamma characters. I mean, recently Cabal, the leader, requires it. We have the full Gamma team. It just seems like this one's always constantly getting used. So another kind of allocation that we need to be mindful of there. So that's uniques, guys. Those are the reasons you may want to potentially build an Alpha Flight. Now, let's take a look at how do they stack up compared to other teams, but more specifically, where do the individual characters kind of stack up now that we've seen both Wolverine and, I got the typo wrong here, it's Sunfire. Both Wolverine and Sunfire getting reworked here. How do they actually, rank in terms of the overall HP damage, armor, speed. So something to be mindful of, guys. This legend is basically based on all the character stats as per MarvelStrikeForce.com website. Top 25, I usually classify it as S tier. Top 50, which is a 26 to 50 region, it's going to be A tier. And then between that for top 100 is B. And then finally we have C at the very, very bottom. Basically anything past the top 200. So, okay. So we're working our way top down, guys. Wolverine. His reworks do make him relevant again, but he's going to shine more from a kit perspective because of the bleeds that he can inflict and the synergy with the team in terms of damage. So across the board, there's nothing really to scream home about. I mean, A- in HP, A+ in damage, B- in armor, and 117 speed. Not bad, actually. Pretty decent for a rework, so great to see that. Sunfire. B in HP, because mutants typically do have a lower HP, lower armor, so he's kind of consistent with what we've seen with other mutant characters. Now, he does have an S tier in damage, so he's going to be doing a lot of the work, and if you recall, he gets energy as well back on the team, so he's going to be fueling a lot of damage if he's able to run like a battery pretty good. And then, however, something to be mindful of is he's lower in the armor department with C tier, actually the lowest on the team, and then being a little bit of a sluggier character here at 113. Now, on to the three newest characters on the team, which is Guardian, Northstar, and Sasquatch. And guys, this is just absolutely bonkers stats right here. Guardian is definitely a character you guys want to be focusing on. Just look at how he compares to the rest of the team, right? S+ in HP, number 3 in damage, A- in armor, with a really decent 120 speed. So, I mean, that bests a lot of characters in the game, guys. So, he's going to have the second turn in this team dynamic right after Northstar. But you can see where, you give credit where credit's due. He's basically Captain Canada, and I love the fact that they gave him the stats to back that up. We got Northstar, his fellow compadre here, at A- in armor, A tier in damage, B- in armor, a little bit lower, but the fastest speed. So setting up the stage, obviously, with his abilities. And then, obviously, Guardian's going to be wrecking havoc with how statistically gifted he is. Finally, we have the slowest member of the team at a really a molasses slow 100 speed, but to be fair, he's the tank of the team, so I didn't expect him to get speed advantage against other enemies. But A tier in HP, B+ in damage, which is still really decent for a tanky protector, and then actually number 8 in the game for armor. So he's gonna be soaking up a lot of damage, which is given where especially him providing buffs, tanking for the team, but as well again being sluggish and more slower, it means that his taunt will last a bit longer because he's getting the last turn out of the bunch. So, if we compare this team now, guys, across the board to two meta war teams that have recently been released. In addition, I love putting Secret Defenders here as kind of the comparative because Secret Defenders is still, in my honest opinion, one of the most complete teams in terms of where they stack up for their stats, but as well, just well-rounded across all aspects of the game. So that's why they're really great to compare with. So if you look at Mercs for Money being a war offense given team, remember, this is offense, right? And this team is supposed to be on defense, being able to withhold this kind of damage. A+ is where Mercs for Money stacked up. Damage was S- with B in armor and 120 speed. So actually very, very comparable. I do believe, though, it's already been circulated that Mercs for Money is one of the direct counters to Alpha Flight. So something to be mindful of. If you're trying to stop Mercs for Money, this team likely won't get the job done because they're actually a direct counter. But it's good to see that statistically they're right there with Mercs for Money. We have another war defense team that we can compare apples to apples here. So that's kind of nice with Out of Time. Out of Time does take the edge on Alpha Flight in terms of HP, but in terms of damage, this team on Alpha Flight on defense has much more damage than Out of Time, as you can see, right? They're averaging A+ north to the S, with the exception of Sasquatch. And then they also actually trend a bit lower in terms of the armor. Out of Time has much better built armor, obviously, with Black Knight bringing up those averages as well. But I will say, Out of Time is also a little speedier. So defense to defense comparison, Out of Time is slightly actually better, but I think the different kit synergies of Alpha Flight does take the edge over Out of Time. And obviously, like I said, Black Knight's really running a show for that team. So once you take him out of the picture, it's smooth. It's smooth, easy sailing. So as opposed to Alpha Flight, where there's a few members that actually do roadblock you. So that's something to be mindful of there. And then finally, Secret Defenders, like I said, across the board A's with 120 speed, being the fastest team in this mixture. So just to kind of see where they kind of stack up in terms of stats, guys. But yeah, Alpha Flight's a good team, guys. They're really, really good statistically. They have great synergies, really kit usages, and they're actually a really exciting team to play as well. So I can't wait. But remember, this is the first team in a long time that we've seen with, once again, a dual mode kind of value, both having value in both war and raids, and that's why they get those specific bonuses to them. So I'm definitely excited to bring them up because you're kind of required, to be honest, with Spotlight. But whether or not you want to build them up all the way to the moon for war defense is completely up to you guys. Hopefully this helps you out. Let me know what you think in the comments below. But overall, a very statistically gifted team. They are right there with some of the best in the meta right now, and especially with a focus on both Guardian and Northstar being the more gifted members of the team and the more crucial, linchpins of the team. Hope this helps you guys out. Thank you for your time as always, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.